Ever notice why some motorcycle exhausts turn blue? Most people think it means the exhaust is cheap or damaged, but that's actually a myth. When stainless steel or titanium gets extremely hot, the surface forms a thin oxide layer that changes how light reflects off it. As the temperature rises, the colors shift from gold to purple and eventually a deep blue. That's why you'll often see blue exhausts on sport bikes and performance motorcycles. It usually means the exhaust has seen some serious heat, not necessarily that the bike is old or low quality. In fact, on titanium exhausts, those blue and purple colors are often considered a badge of performance. So the next time you spot a blue motorcycle exhaust, don't assume it's defective. It's actually the metal showing the story of the heat it's been through. Think you're ready for a superbike as your first motorcycle? Think again. These three bikes have humbled riders with years of experience, and they definitely aren't made for beginners. First, the Ducati Panigale. It looks stunning, but don't let the beauty fool you. Twist the throttle just a little too much, and it responds like a race bike escaping the starting grid. It's built for the track, not for learning the basics. Next, the BMW S1000RR. Packed with cutting-edge technology and blistering speed, it's one of the most capable superbikes ever built. But for a new rider, all that power can become overwhelming in a split second. And finally, the KTM 1290 Super Duke R, better known as the Beast. Massive torque, instant throttle response, no mercy for hesitation. This bike doesn't wait for you to catch up. It launches the moment you ask. Every major motorcycle brand has built at least one bike that makes you ask, what were they thinking? First, Yamaha. They gave us the R1 and then somehow created the Morphous. It looks like a scooter that melted in the sun and never recovered. Next, Kawasaki, the kings of aggressive sport bikes, until the Voyager 12 showed up. It's so square and bulky, it looks like it escaped from a 1990s video game. Then there's Suzuki. The B-King has monster performance, but those massive exhausts, they look like two vacuum cleaners strapped to the back. You can't unsee it. This bike is so extreme, even buying one doesn't mean you can ride it. This is the Kawasaki H2R, and every detail about it is completely insane. First, forget everything you've heard. It's not turbocharged, it's supercharged. Kawasaki engineered the entire system themselves, and it forces enough air into the engine to unleash over 300 horsepower. Then there are these wings. They're not for style. Those carbon fiber winglets create real downforce, keeping the bike glued to the ground when it's trying its hardest to take off like a jet. And yes, it actually hit 400 kilometers per hour. That's almost 250 miles per hour, making it one of the fastest motorcycles ever built. But the craziest part, that stunning mirror-like paint isn't just paint. Kawasaki mixed real silver into the finish, making the H2R look as expensive as it is. These countries make owning a motorcycle feel like cheating. Imagine filling your tank for just a few dollars. That's everyday life in Thailand, where motorcycles are everywhere. They're affordable, and riding is simply part of life. Then there's Italy, the birthplace of Ducati and Aprilia. Epic mountain roads, passionate riders, and a motorcycle culture that's hard to beat. Now fly over to Japan, where silky smooth roads, organized traffic, and legendary engineering from Honda, Yamaha, Suzuki, and Kawasaki make every ride feel special. But if you want pure freedom, New Zealand delivers. Endless scenic highways, almost no traffic, and twisty roads that seem built just for motorcycles. And finally, Germany. Some sections of the Autobahn still have no speed limit. If your bike has the power, this is one of the few places on Earth where you can legally see what it can really do. Everyone thinks motorcycles turn by pointing the handlebars. That's actually wrong. Here's the trick every rider uses without even realizing it. At anything above parking lot speeds, if you want to turn right, you first push the right handlebar forward. For a split second, the front wheel actually points left. Sounds completely backwards, right? But that tiny opposite steering input makes the bike lean to the right. Once it's leaning, the tires naturally carve through the turn, and the motorcycle follows. A lot of people think it's only because the wheels act like giant gyroscopes. They do play a role, but the biggest reason is that the brief steering input shifts the tire's contact patch, creating the forces that tip the bike into the lean. It feels impossible until physics takes over. The best-selling bike from every brand, and the last one will surprise you. Honda has built some of the greatest motorcycles ever, but none come close to the Super Cub. With over 100 million sold, it's the best-selling motor vehicle in history. It's basically the motorcycle version of a bicycle. Next up, Yamaha. You'd probably expect an R1 or an MT, but nope, it's the legendary RX100. Tiny, lightweight, insanely loud, and so loved that in some places people pass it down like a family heirloom. And then there's Kawasaki, the brand famous for crazy fast ninjas and screaming engines. So what's their biggest seller? The Ninja 250, not the fastest, not the most powerful, but the bike that introduced millions of riders to the world of sport bikes. Why do the worst MotoGP teams keep...
Imagine flying past 200 miles per hour, then realizing your brakes are just expensive decorations. Number 3, Suzuki GSX R1100. Back in the day, this thing was an absolute monster. It could disappear down the road faster than your paycheck, but after a few hard stops, the brakes got so hot they basically said, "You're on your own, buddy." Number 2, Turbo Hayabusa. Some absolute madman looked at a Hayabusa and thought 400 horsepower still isn't enough, so they added a turbo. Now you've got a rocket with motorcycle handlebars. The only problem? The brakes were still wondering why they got invited to this mission. Stopping from 200 miles per hour felt less like braking and more like submitting a prayer request. Number 1, Dodge Tomahawk. Someone looked at a Dodge Viper and said, what if we removed 2 doors and all common sense? They stuffed its massive V10 into a motorcycle-shaped machine with a claimed top speed of around 300 miles per hour. Awesome for going fast. Not exactly famous for being practical. Let's just say your life insurance agent would have started sweating.
Why don't all motorcycles have quick shifters? Because they're not as perfect as you think. A quick shifter lets you slam through gears without touching the clutch, making shifts lightning fast. So what's the catch? First, money. Quick shifters need sensors, electronics, and software to cut engine power for a split second. That means higher manufacturing costs. Second, you probably don't need one. Unless you're riding aggressively or hitting the track, using the clutch is already fast and effortless. And third, they can actually feel worse. At low RPMs or in stop and go traffic, quick shifters can be jerky, while a normal clutch shift stays smooth. So if you've ever wondered why budget bikes skip them, it's not because they're outdated. It's because for most riders, a quick shifter is a luxury, not a necessity. Imagine buying your dream bike, only for the government to say, yeah, about that. Here are the weirdest motorcycle bans that make almost zero sense. Singapore. Singapore didn't exactly ban superbikes. They just made them financially extinct. Registration taxes can cost more than the motorcycle itself. At that point, you're buying the paperwork and getting a free bike. Philippines. The rule was simple. No license plate, no riding. Sounds fair, except the government couldn't print enough plates, so riders got punished for waiting on the government. Thailand. This one's wild. Some cities restricted big bikes because of noise, but instead of checking loud exhausts, they checked engine size. A whisper quiet 650 cubic centimeters? Banned. A screaming 125 cubic centimeters with a broken muffler? Totally fine. Logic left the chat. Nigeria. To fight crime, entire states banned motorcycles. Criminals adapted, but millions of everyday commuters suddenly had no easy way to get around. Everyone thinks superbikes are built to destroy your wrists and your spine, but these four are secretly lazy boy recliners with rocket engines. Number 4, Suzuki Hayabusa. The Hayabusa looks like it'll punish you. Instead, it hugs you. It's heavy, stable, and eats highway miles like they're snacks. You'll run out of fuel before you run out of comfort. Number 3, Kawasaki Ninja ZX-14R. This thing doesn't ride, it floats. Massive seat, smooth power, and wind protection so good, you'll forget you're doing triple-digit speeds. Number 2, BMW S1000XR. Imagine a superbike that went to therapy. It kept the insane speed, but learned how to treat your back with respect. You could ride all day and still walk normally afterward. Number 1, Ducati Supersport 95. Oh yes, a comfortable Ducati. I know, it sounds illegal, but the Supersport 950 is fast, gorgeous, and surprisingly easy to live with. It's the kind of bike that makes long rides feel way too short. Supermoto versus sport bike. Which one really owns the street? Imagine this. A supermoto rolls up like it pays rent on every corner. We're talking something like a Suzuki DRZ 400 SM or a Ducati Hypermotard 950. Tall, light, and built to embarrass traffic lights. It's the bike that says, I do not fear potholes. I study them. Perfect for city streets, easy to flick around, and way more forgiving when your brain is still waking up. But then comes the sport bike. A Yamaha R1 or Kawasaki ZX-10R doesn't ride in. It launches in like it has somewhere to be, and you are already late. Low, loud, sharp, and stupid fast. 0 to 100 in a blink, and by the time you finish saying, bro, it's already questioning your life choices. Chain, belt, mud, or too much power, and it starts questioning its life choices. Then there's shaft drive. The Grandpa, heavy, reliable, and built to go forever. You barely maintain it, making it perfect for long-distance touring. The downside? It's heavier, more expensive, and steals a bit of your bike's power.